Hello. So today I'm going to be talking about how often you should be posting on social media. This is the question I get asked time and time again. And it's not that simple because as businesses, we might be in all different social media channels and we might have to create lots of different content. And we want to make sure that we get the best return on investment, we get the best reach, the best number of impressions for that content we're creating. So I get asked time and time again, so Bex, how often should we be posting on our social media platforms? So I'm going to answer that as best I can in today's video. So who am I to be answering this question? Well, I'm Bex from Social Media Executive, and I've trained over 1,000 businesses across the world over the last 10 years. I train on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it, most of the main platforms. So really, I have seen it all. I have seen businesses who've been posting multiple times a day to those that might just post once a month. And I can tell you now, if you Google it, how many times should a business be posting on social media? There are loads and loads of different answers out there, which is why it's not that simple. But today, I'm going to clear it up for you and hopefully help you to come to the decision on how often you should be posting on social media. So the first thing is too little content. Okay, if there's too little content, you're just not going to get seen. Social media is a really, really competitive place. It doesn't matter whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever you are, there are people posting loads of content out there. So it's quite difficult to get into people's news feeds. So if you're not posting consistently, then you're not going to get seen. Okay. So first of all, it's really, really important to be frequently posting on social media. However, there's a downside to that as well. If you post too much content, you also then run the risk of one, boring your audience, but two, you're going for quantity rather than quality. And there's a massive downside to that because actually, rather than thinking about the amount of times per day, the amount of times per week you should be posting, you should actually be thinking about who's your target audience and are they likely to engage, give it a like, a comment under these posts. Because ultimately, the number of times you're posting and the reach, the number of impressions you get are all monitored by the social media platforms. So if you do a post and it gets lots of likes and engagement, then the next post you do, it doesn't matter whether it's hours later, days later, then actually the social media platforms, the robots in the background are going, oh, well, Bex, she's created a great post and she's just done another post. I'm going to share that one quite widely because she got a lot of engagement on that last post. So I'm going to share it. And if that post does really well, it gets lots of likes and engagements, then the next post I do is likely to be shared further. So your first thing to consider is what is your target audience likely to engage with, likely to stop, look, click on, give it a like, give it a comment. Because ultimately, your next post will be influenced by that. If you are posting multiple times a day, and you're not getting any likes, you're not getting any comments, then slowly those social media robots in the background, they're monitoring what you're doing and they'll be like, oh no, Bex, that content's boring. No one's engaging on it. Doesn't matter how often you post. I'm really not going to share it with your followers, let alone beyond your followers. Okay. So over time, if you get low engagement on your posts, it's signaling to the social media platforms that your content's not very good and it's not going to share it very widely. However, on the flip side, if you are creating content that's getting loads of engagement, then it's a signal that your account is pretty good. It's pretty interesting. So whatever you create, it's likely to get shared more widely. Okay. So we really need to think about what type of how often are we doing this? Now, Instagram, generally speaking, there's loads of different insights out there, but Instagram and Facebook, they are liking video content, your reels, your short form videos, as we call them. That's because they're trying to compete with TikTok. So if you're on there and you're trying to create reels, then you're going to get a higher reach than maybe just creating one photo post. Simply because at this moment in time, those social media platforms really like videos. But if you post the same video on LinkedIn, for example, it's not going to get as high a reach. So each social media platform has a slightly different strategy. Obviously, TikTok is videos, full stop. And actually, if you really want to grow on TikTok, then you should be posting at least one video a day. And a lot of people say maybe 3 videos a day as well. And Buffer has done an experiment on this. He's done quite a lot of research, and actually they recommend posting around 2 to 5 times a day. That should give you around a 17% more reach. However, if you post around, that was 2 to 5 times a week. If you post around 11 times in a week, it's shown to get 34% more views. So this was a study done by Buffer, okay? But have we really got time to be doing 11 videos on TikTok as a business? That's what you need to think about, okay? So we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook. Generally speaking, it is recommended that you post more frequently on Facebook, particularly if you've got a larger following. You can get away with this. If you've got 10,000 followers, you're posting frequently on Facebook, then actually you've got more followers to interact with that. But if you've got a new, if you've got a new account, then actually 3 to 5 times a week on Facebook is absolutely great, particularly maybe if one of those posts is a reel, a video, and they like stories. So you can create multiple stories as well. HubSpot, again, they recommend once a day. Okay, but that was back in 2023. Things do change. Okay, it's changing all the time. So the good thing is we have got different platforms with different formats, depending on what type of content you like to create. So for me, I do videos every week, but it's not for everybody. So you're not really going to want to go on TikTok. You're not going to want to go on YouTube. But LinkedIn, it kind of likes videos if they're good, but it really, really likes images. It really likes the sort of carousel type posts, really likes polls. 3 years ago, if you'd done a poll on LinkedIn, you'd got a massive reach. Not as much now because they're not really trying to promote the polls as much as they were 3 years ago. 2 years ago, if you'd have done video, you'd have got a much higher reach. Again, things are changing. Okay. So again, mixing your content up on all the platforms is good. On all those platforms that do, images, carousels, stories, just doing a little bit of a mix of content. Okay. And trying that. So there's no sort of overall exact number that you should be doing on each platform, because if everybody did that exact number on every single platform, it would get a bit repetitive, okay? And social media platforms like to mix things up a bit. But the most important thing is to make sure you get that sort of engagement. But the thing that is really, really important, I'm going to leave to the end actually, that you need to consider as a business. But the one thing you do need to be looking at is the analytics. Each platform has analytics, has statistics on there about how well you're performing. So have a look at them, because they will generally break down, particularly on the likes of Instagram and Facebook, they will generally break down how much engagement you've had, how many likes you've had, and how many people you've reached, or if you're on LinkedIn, the number of impressions you've had. So actually, if you regularly visit those, experiment with your content, the quantities you are posting, and the types of things that are getting the largest engagement, you should begin to see your reach and your impressions increase over time. Okay, so make sure they are increasing over time, because that's what you want. If you suddenly change your strategy and go, right, we're going to post 3 times a day, and all of a sudden your reach and impressions are dropping, then that's a great indication that you're posting too much. It's different for everybody, okay? It's different. It depends on the number of followers you've got, who your followers are. There is no set rule of what you should be doing. As a minimum, I suggest to all my clients, and we've seen growth and we've got business from posting as a minimum on every platform 3 times a week. So I would look at, as a minimum, posting 3 times a week. It doesn't matter what platform you're on, okay? And some you might want to increase that frequency. But all I would say as a business, the most important thing you need to think about is the time you've got to create this content, how long it's taking, and the return you're getting for your investment, okay? Because if you're posting, 10 times a week and it's costing you £3,000 to create in time these posts, but yet you're only getting inquiries through that are equating to £500 a week, then it's not worth you doing, okay? So always go for those quality posts that are likely to drive engagement, that your audience is likely to interact with. That's what you need to do. You really need to think about you, what your business objectives are, and what you actually need to achieve from your social media. And it should never be a complete time sink. Now, I know coming up with ideas is really, really difficult. It's one of the things most businesses struggle with. So I've got a little free download for you, 101 content ideas for businesses. It doesn't matter what social media platform you're on. These ideas are all relevant. It's a free download, so please do download it and have a look at those ideas there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this, please do give us a thumbs up. And please, if you have got more specific questions about posting frequencies on your social media platforms, just pop them in the comments. I'm more than happy to help. Have a great day, guys. See you later. Bye.